I'll show you my vault. And if you're back...
Some legends aren't born with a roar, but with a whisper, and Jack Benny's story is one of them. Long before the world laughed at his stingy 39-year-old persona, long before the famous vault became a national running joke, there was a young boy with a violin and a mother determined to shape a superstar. His journey was filled with failures, reinventions, and battles no audience ever saw. And now, decades later, that story isn't just being retold, it's being unlocked, because researchers have finally opened Jack Benny's vault. And what they found inside has stunned historians, shocked fans, and rewritten everything we thought we knew about a comedy legend. Jack Benny wasn't born with the name that would one day echo across radio and television history. He entered the world on February 14, 1894, in Chicago, Illinois, as Benjamin Kubelski. His mother, Emma Kubelski, traveled from the small town of Waukegan to Chicago just to give birth, believing that a big city birth certificate would help her son in his future career. As a world-class violinist, she had already decided the direction of her child's life. From the moment young Benjamin could hold a violin, Emma pushed him toward greatness. She was frail in body but fierce in spirit, determined that her son would play for glittering concert halls, not small-town gatherings. His father, Meyer Kubelski, had a different outlook, an immigrant from Poland who worked his way up from peddling goods on the streets of Chicago to becoming a successful saloon owner. Meyer believed entertainment was no profession for a respectable Jewish family. But Emma, strong-willed and unwavering, set the course. Lessons began at age 6. On his 6th birthday, Benjamin received a half-sized violin, and the training became a daily ritual. A professor named Harlow charged 50 cents for each lesson, and soon, Benjamin was being taken to Chicago regularly to study under Hugo Korchak at the musical college. Despite his mother's strict discipline and hopes of greatness, young Benjamin Kubelski struggled with a simple truth: he didn't enjoy practicing the violin. Instead of mastering scales and classical pieces, he stared out at Lake Michigan, daydreaming about life beyond his small-town world. School wasn't much better. He became known as a mischievous prankster, constantly testing teachers' patience. His most infamous prank, smearing Limburger cheese behind a radiator, created such a horrible smell that the entire school shut down. Benjamin was expelled during his freshman year and never returned. While classmates studied books, he was already working, playing violin in the pit orchestra of the Barrison Theater. His real education came from his father's lively saloon, where traveling performers and loud customers taught him, without realizing it, what made people laugh. This early exposure developed the timing and delivery that later defined his comedy. At 17, Benjamin dropped out completely and joined Cora Salisbury in a touring act, called from grand opera to ragtime, earning only $7.50 a week, but gaining experience. Legal threats from Jan Kubelik and Ben Burney forced several name changes, before he finally settled on Jack Benny. During World War I, at the Great Lakes Naval Training Station, a simple shouted suggestion, "Tell a joke," changed his life, revealing comedy was his true calling. After the war, Jack returned to vaudeville, refining his style and building a reputation. By the 1920s, he was performing on Broadway, delivering a refreshing mix of light music, deadpan humor, and razor-sharp timing. Critics praised his routine as something fresh and unique. During this period, one of the most significant relationships of his life began. Jack met Sadie Marks, a young woman working at the May Company in Los Angeles, selling lingerie. Their romance was unconventional, awkward, and slow, but real. They married in 1927, and for the next 48 years, Jack continued sending her a single red rose every day until the day he died. But even success had shadows. Jack was accused of underpaying theater musicians, and the scandal almost derailed his career. Union pressure, canceled bookings, and whispers of stinginess spread. The public would later see his penny-pinching character as hilarious, but that comedic persona had roots in real-life controversy. Vaudeville was starting to fade, and radio was rising. Mary, as Sadie came to be known, convinced Jack to transition into broadcasting. On May 2, 1932, the Jack Benny program premiered. The beginning was rough. Jack still tried to impress audiences with serious violin playing mixed with comedy, but listeners didn't connect with it. Then everything changed. He began playing the violin badly on purpose. He made himself the butt of the joke. The audience loved it. Ratings surged. Soon after, he moved to CBS, and that was where the legendary world of Jack Benny truly came alive. On radio, Jack introduced one of the greatest running gags in entertainment history, the vault. In Jack's fictional world, he was the cheapest man alive, storing his fortune in a massive underground vault protected with booby traps, guards, and elaborate security systems. Fans wrote letters asking him to open it for charity. The gag became so famous that audiences almost believed the vault was real. Television historian and critics often point out that the cast around Jack was part of the magic. There was announcer Don Wilson, bandleader Phil Harris, and most importantly, Eddie Rochester Anderson. Rochester was the first black performer to have a regular role on a national radio series, and often outsmarted Jack on air. Some southern stations refused to broadcast episodes featuring Rochester, but Jack insisted he would not do the show without him. It was a statement at a time when very few entertainers took such a stand on racial equality. Jack transitioned into film, but his Hollywood path wasn't smooth. His early performances in films, like the Hollywood Review of 1929, were criticized for being stiff and wooden. Critics were unimpressed, and studios quietly dropped him. In 1937, while vacationing in Cannes, Jack became involved in a real-life scandal when a con artist posing as a diplomat convinced him to transport jewelry through customs. The plan collapsed. He was fined heavily in court by Judge Vincent L. Leibel, and his reputation could have been ruined. But instead of hiding from the scandal, Jack turned it into comedy on his radio show, surprising audiences and saving his career. When television began to rise in the 1950s, Jack took another significant risk. On October 28, 1950, he debuted on CBS television. At 56 years old, he worried about how audiences would respond to seeing him on screen. But the show was an immediate success. Millions of viewers tuned in weekly, captivated by his timing, wit, and impeccable comic pauses. The program became a breeding ground for talent and inspiration. Famous personalities, such as Ronald Reagan and a young Johnny Carson, appeared on the show. Carson, especially, studied Jack closely, absorbing his timing, expressions, and signature pauses, which would go on to shape his own legendary run on The Tonight Show. Jack Benny had not only conquered radio and film, but had also secured his place as a pioneer in television comedy. As the Cold War intensified, Jack's vault sketches evolved again, reflecting America's fascination with security and nuclear paranoia. The vault was now guarded with alligator moats, flamethrowers, electrified bars, and even guard plants named Irving. Jack always understood that comedy wasn't just about laughter, it was a reflection of the times. Jack's television show ended in 1965, but his presence never faded. He continued performing in specials, tours, and guest appearances. Still one of the highest paid comedians in America. But behind the scenes, something darker was happening. From the early 1950s, Jack had promoted Lucky Strike cigarettes. For 15 years, he sold the product that would ultimately take his life. In 1974, he fell ill. Doctors diagnosed him with terminal pancreatic cancer. Even then, he continued working until he could no longer perform. On December 26, 1974, Jack Benny passed away at the age of 80. When his will was read, the world learned the truth. The man who spent decades portraying a comedic miser had secretly been one of Hollywood's most generous figures. He donated to orchestras, charities, youth programs, and civil rights causes. When his hometown named a junior high school after him, he opened a $39 trust for every baby born there that day. He helped support Rochester's family, and Eddie Anderson became one of the wealthiest black entertainers of the era. After Anderson's death, his home became the Rochester House, a shelter and rehabilitation center. Jack Benny changed the shape of comedy forever. He pioneered the sitcom format, perfected the art of the running gag, introduced dry character-driven humor, and shaped the careers of legends like Johnny Carson, Jerry Seinfeld, and Larry David. He broke the fourth wall, blurred the line between character and reality, and proved that comedy did not have to be fast or loud to be timeless, it only had to be true. Even decades later, the Jack Benny program lives on. Digitized archives bring his timeless humor to new audiences, proving great comedy never fades. The laughs still hit, the timing still perfect. Rediscover a legend, share the joy, and keep his legacy alive. Like, share, and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.